Chancellor Rachel Reeves just announced the Labour Party's new budget for the UK, and it's going to affect everything from capital gains taxes to foreign income tax, school fees and even business profits. In this video, we're going to take a deeper look at just what the new 2024 budget means for business owners and investors, and also discuss how you can legally lower your tax obligations. Starting off with something that we all knew was coming, an increase in the rates of capital gains tax. The Labour Party had been hinting at increasing the rates of capital gains for months before the budget, and now it's finally here. The lower rate of capital gains has been raised from 10% to 18% for people with an annual income below £50,270, while the higher rate has jumped from 20% to 24% for those earning above £50,270. Now keep in mind, this change is coming after the capital gains tax annual exemption amount had already been lowered from £12,300 to just £3,000 in April of 2024. What this means for the investors is that if you made £100,000 in profit from selling shares this year, you'd now pay around £5,740 more in tax compared to last year. For business owners, things are even worse. The rate of employer national insurance is set to increase by 1.2 percentage points from 13.8% to 15% from 6th of April 2025. At the same time, the secondary threshold, the level at which employers start paying national insurance on each employee's salary, has also been lowered from £9,100 per year to just £5,000 per year, making it so that business owners will now have to pay roughly £615 more per employee every year. What we're seeing right now is the UK government continuing its trend of putting almost all of the tax burden on its highest earners. Right now, the top 1% of earners in the UK are responsible for 30% of all income tax revenue, and with these new changes, this number is only going to go up. Next, we've got the value-added tax on private school fees. Starting in January 2025, the UK will apply a value-added sales tax of 20% to private school fees and boarding services. This tax essentially punishes people who want their children to get a better education than what the state is actually offering. According to the Telegraph, this change is actually expected to cost the education sector £50 million instead of contributing to more tax. Finally, we've got the abolishment of the non-dom tax laws, making it so that British residents are taxed on income that they didn't even make in the UK. This is a trend that we're seeing now both in the EU and the UK, where governments are moving to tax any income they can, even if it wasn't made or even born into the country. Now, all of this might have been worth it 5 or 10 years ago when the UK was a world leader in terms of economic growth and stability, but now, with the direction that the government is heading, things aren't the same anymore. You need to understand that for most people living in the UK, paying more taxes for every little thing in their lives in return for objectively horrible quality of life is just not worth it. Just look at the rise in crime and what the government is doing about it. With more than 6.7 million crimes being reported in the UK in 2023, a knife crime in London going up to 20% in just the last year, things have literally never been worse. At the same time, one of the latest proposals by the new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is to release more than 20,000 prisoners from jail due to overcrowding. Apparently the UK is so full of criminals that even the prisons are not enough. Does this really sound like one of the most developed countries in the world? The result of these tax changes, plus the rapidly declining quality of life in the UK, is that people that can afford it are just leaving. The UK's economy is currently projected to become one of the worst in the developed world by 2025, and according to a report by investment bank UBS, more than 17% of the UK's millionaires, some 500,000 individuals, are set to leave the UK by 2028. A recent article by the Telegraph also mentions how many British billionaires have already left the country, while others are gearing up to leave as well. While the move makes sense, why would anyone want to choose to stay in the UK when they can live in a much safer place where they don't get taxed to death? Places like Dubai, Portugal or Greece or even Spain are all much safer, and in most cases are only going to tax you a fraction of what you're paying now. I know multiple UK born British citizens who have moved to the places I mentioned in the last few years, and all of them are much happier. The weather is better, they don't have to pay 50% of their income in taxes, and frankly, even the food tastes better. If you want to learn more about where you can move to save on tax, make sure to check out some of the other videos on my channel. Subscribe to stay updated, and I'll see you in the next one.